Welcome to sportsbookreview.com. I'm Flash, and it's La Liga, and it's massive because we've got Barcelona and Real Madrid both going head to head. Now, I've had Paco from Valencia, I had Ewan from Madrid, and this week we're going to have Roman from Barcelona. Obviously, he'll be alongside Martin Green, but before we do that, let's get a bit of housekeeping out of the way. We're going to go with subscribe, press the button, ring the bell. Ring the bell means that I can notify you, or we can notify you, and you'll never miss any content again. And if you press the link in the description, not only does it go to the Spanish articles, it goes to all our soccer articles, so you will not miss a thing. Now, gentlemen, I'm going to come to you, Roman, first of all. Welcome, sir, and a massive game tonight for Barcelona away at Sevilla.
Thank you very much for having me here. And indeed, it's going to be definitely Barca's most important game since we've come back from this quarantine situation. And I think it's going to be a bit their main test to see at what level they are. And it's going to be quite decisive for them in terms of that battle for La Liga title with Real Madrid, because dropping points here could be quite crucial because there's not many games left and every single point counts.
Do you think in the game so far they've looked a little bit dicey at the back, or has it just been cruise control?
It has to be said, I mean, they have been 3 months without playing a competitive game. So, of course, you can understand that they're not still at their best, not at their peak. But, I mean, at this stage, you have to do whatever you can. And it's true they haven't been great at the back. And they haven't been great in attack either, to be honest, against Leganes. We saw how they struggled so much with that closed down defense. Finding those spaces wasn't easy for them. And definitely that's something they're going to have to solve. And against Sevilla, it's going to be another strong defensive side. It isn't going to be easy to get past them, so it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves.
Okay, we're going to go to Martin, but Roman, you sit yourself tight and we will be back to you. Obviously, Roman is the third member of La Liga Lowdown. Obviously, as I said, we've had Paco and we've had Ewan. Ewan did great the other night, by the way. He gave us Villareal and then he gave us Benzema score anytime. And Martin went with Madrid under 3.5. I went with -1.5. We absolutely clean it up. Martin, no pressure. Let's go again.
Okay, yeah, hope so. It's been overall pretty profitable so far, the return of La Liga. So looking forward to another round of fixtures and definitely going to stick with the big teams. They're doing very well with their squad depth.
Yeah, I mean, is there any sort of patterns coming out early on? I mean, we're looking at these younger sides being sprightly. We're looking at goals late on. But there's been a few teams that haven't even started.
Yeah, there's been a few teams that are really struggling for motivation, and some of the surprising teams that would be challenging for the top four just haven't really been turning up. The likes of Getafe, who are having an excellent season, Real Sociedad haven't really got started yet. Teams like that I would have expected a lot more from, and they really seem to be struggling. Whereas teams that don't really have anything to play for, like Alaves, seem to be exceeding expectations. I think there's still a ferocious relegation battle shaping up at the bottom of the table. But yeah, I think the best bet is just to keep backing Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid with their big squads. I think they'll pick up lots of points through the rest of the season. And yeah, maybe avoid some of those teams with older squads like Getafe that are struggling right now.
Yeah, and obviously Mallorca, home or away. Okay, Roman, let's kick it off. We're going to go Sevilla, +330, draw, +280. Now, I wrote Barcelona, -107 because I did this yesterday. But now you can get plus money about Barca. You're there, you're on the ground. Why are Barca such a big price, Roman?
Well, I mean, of course, Barcelona at the moment, they are one of the best teams, but at the same time, they're showing some problems, as we mentioned before, in attack and defense. They're not at their best, but still, of course, they have the quality, they have the squad, they have the depth. They have a team which can allow them to cruise in many games, which they don't have to give their 100%. And in this particular game against Sevilla, it's going to be good because they're going to get Jordi Alba back, who wasn't in the last game. And we can tell that with Junior Firpo, Barca just struggles a lot on that left wing. There's not enough depth, whereas Jordi Alba gives another perspective. He always goes straight till the end and gives so many assists to Messi. But at the same time, there are going to be some setbacks. There's no Sergi Roberto on the right back position. There's no Frankie de Jong, who's possibly injured for that one too. And we have Luis Suarez, who's just come in. But he does look a bit rusty. He had a few minutes against Leganes, but I don't think he's at his best yet. But at the same time, it's Luis Suarez, one of the best strikers in the world, so he's capable of scoring a goal any moment. And Barca against Sevilla have already proven they can score goals because in the last 5 fixtures, Barca have scored 18 goals against them. So that's proof that there could be something to look into there.
I don't think Barcelona have any trouble scoring. I think it's maybe keeping a clean sheet at the other end. I mean, I'm expecting both teams to score. Now, if you can get both teams to score and Barcelona to win, that's at plus 300, Martin.
Yeah, it looks like a good bet, Flash. Just think Barcelona have got tremendous attacking firepower. They've been able to rotate their attacking line to devastating effect. They've scored 6 goals in 2 games since they've come back. Yeah, they're not even playing at the peak of their powers, but they're still getting good results. I also think Jordi Alba coming back will be massive for the team just because of his attacking threat as much as at the back. But yeah, I think obviously Lionel Messi's going to start. Not sure who the other two are going to be. Might even be tempted to bring in Martin Braithwaite again and rest Ansu Fati. Even if Griezmann starts up top, and then you've got Suarez as a very dangerous second half impact substitute. I just think over the course of 90 minutes they're going to have too much for what is a pretty mediocre Sevilla defence. So not too sure what the final scoreline will be, but I'd be pretty confident backing Barcelona to win this game, even if they do look a little light in midfield. I'm not really sure why the price is going out so much. It was minus 105 when I wrote an article for SBR earlier today, and it's now gone to plus 127, which is a huge line movement. And the price keeps on getting more attractive. So if you wait a little bit longer this evening, you might get an even better set of odds. But yeah, it looks like a very good option to me. Straight win for Barcelona.
Roman, you're on the ground. Is there any reason, is there any noise coming out that say, I mean, the only thing I can think of straight away is that Messi's not going to play?
Well, that could be a possibility, which I doubt against Sevilla. I think Messi is going to start most likely. In Barcelona, the Catalan people like to complain a lot when something isn't going right. We saw how we changed manager halfway through the season because he wasn't playing the style we wanted. Here it's not just about results, it's more than that. So when we see against Leganes or Mallorca that Barca aren't playing that wonderful football, we start to doubt a bit if things are going well or not. But of course, they're still league leaders. But you have Real Madrid right beneath you. There's a lot of pressure there. That could be also a risk. And Real Madrid, we've seen how they thrashed Valencia, and they have a lot of firepower also up there. So it's going to be a very interesting contest between both sides.
What's the feeling, though, Roman? Do you think that, I mean, the run-ins, do we say that Real Madrid may have the edge?
I think they could. I mean, the advantage right now is that we have that 2-point gap from Real Madrid. But if the thing was the opposite way around and Real Madrid were first, I think we'll be even more pessimistic here in Catalonia. But right now, we consider we can do it. But there are lots of doubts. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the change of manager. Then there's also a lot of internal problems with the club, with the signings in the winter transfer market, with the board directives doing very strange things with our money, with the club's money. So all these things always generate a lot of question marks. But we do know and think we can win. But at the same time, we are a bit worried that Real Madrid, just could come there and get us.
Okay, well, I'm going to go for Barcelona to win and both teams to score at plus 300, which is obviously 3-1 in European odds. And we have got a link that if you are not liking or not understanding the plus and minuses, then you can go to the SBR odds converter and it will just sort everything out for you. So we'll have no more moaning. Okay. I'm going to come to you again, Roman. We've got Espanyol plus 100, draw plus 260, Levante plus 300, Espanyol. They've done all right, 4 points out of the first 6. They need to get this win.
They need to get this win indeed. I mean, against Getafe, it has to be said, great effort. But a lot of physical fatigue, I would say, because they played most of the game with 10 men. And, we say that in Spanish, a team defense con uñas y dientes. That means with nails and teeth. They went 100% during the whole time they could. And they still managed to get opportunities and they had chances to get their goal. And I've seen Espanyol with 11 men during this season play much worse and not get any chances. So we're seeing a different version since we've come back from this quarantine. I think Espanyol have a good chance. But at the same time, there are going to be a few setbacks. Apart from the physical fatigue from that game, they're not going to have Raúl de Tomás, who is going to be out for this game, still injured. Their best striker, that's a very important guy they're going to miss out on. And their best central defender, Bernardo Espinosa, isn't going to be there either because he's suspended. And he's already scored quite a few goals from set pieces. So those are 2 important players which won't be available. But we all know how desperate Espanyol are, and we all know how much they need those points. So I think they should get this one.
I think the urgency, Martin, at plus 100 for Espanyol is the only way to go. You look at it, you don't complicate it. There's a desperation, and there seems to be a togetherness, dare I say it.
There's definitely a togetherness about this side, yeah. I mean, they've done really well to climb off the bottom of the table after bringing in their third manager of the season. I do think they've got a good chance of beating the drop, but I'm nervous about betting against Levante. You know, they've drawn with Valencia and Sevilla in their last two games. That shows that they're a tough nut to crack. You know, they've limited both of those sides to only scoring once, and they've got on the score sheet themselves. Just like Román said, if the Tomás is out, then you know that's a considerable lack of firepower for this Espanyol side. So yeah, I'd be maybe looking at unders in total goals. I was just checking what the price for under 2.5 goals is there. See if I can get any value. That is 1.8. That looks pretty interesting. If I was looking at just an outright, I'd probably go for the draw, to be honest, at odds of 3.6. But that'd be more of a lean than an official play.
Okay. Have you got a little score prediction for me, Roman?
I'd go. I think a draw is also very likely in this one because, as we said, Real Tomás isn't there. They're going to miss those important players. And Levante have proven to be great teams, against Valencia and Sevilla, two really tough sides. But they might relax a bit in this one. So I'm really down between a draw or Espanyol wins. I can't really say for sure.
Okay, we'll just don't go with Levante for the away win. Okay, let's kick on. Bilbao, plus 114, draw plus 260, and Betis at plus 290, Roman.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Betis play so far. I think we're all quite disappointed at the moment how they've been doing. That first game, right back from against Sevilla, the derby, you expect so much more intensity, and they just didn't show anything. They looked really tired physically also, as if they hadn't prepared properly. And we all know how Rubí now is in a very delicate situation after all this. He's had lots of ups and downs during the season, but now it seems he's going through another down. And they really need those points in the win against Atletico de Bilbao. But Bilbao are such a rocky side. They have all their threats available. Iñaki Williams, all these guys have firepower. And also, they haven't lost against Betis in San Mamés since 2012. It's only been wins for Atletico de Bilbao. We know the fans aren't there, but still, that's a very interesting thing to take into account.
Yeah, they put in such a good performance against Atletico Madrid. To point, Martin, I thought they were absolutely nailed on at 3 points and convincingly. And yet, I see them now against a Betis side who's, you don't know what you're getting against them. They score goals, they're tight, then they're free-flowing.
Yeah, that's why I refused to pull the trigger on Athletic Bilbao last time out, just because it was a local derby against another Basque side, and I thought that Eibar would raise their game. Lo and behold, picked up a 2-2 draw. I also fancied a draw in that first game against Atletico Madrid. That's the sort of team that Athletic Bilbao are. I think they're not scrapping for relegation. They're not going to make it into the European places. I think they're just coasting to a mid-table finish. And probably the same for Betis, really. I think both teams can play without pressure. I think we'll see both teams scoring in this one. It was obviously 2-2 in both of their last games. So I was just looking at a straight both teams to score bet in this one. 1.92 looks like a very attractive set of odds on that, particularly when you consider that it finished 3-2 to Betis earlier in the season when these teams met, and Betis seem to have found their shooting boots. So that looks good, and maybe second half to be the highest scoring half. We had 3 goals right at the end in that last game for Betis. So a couple of good options there, I think.
Roman, do you see Bilbao getting the job done at home?
I think so. I fancy more Bilbao for this one because I honestly, as I said before, I haven't seen Betis at their best. And also the fact that Joaquin isn't going to be there. He's 38 years old, but he's still one of their best players. He's been so important. And in that first game, Martin talked about a 3-2 win. Joaquin scored the hat-trick for that win in 20 minutes. So, I mean, he's really important for them. And I just don't see Betis doing a lot of damage. They might get a draw or something, but I think Athletic Bilbao are the favourites for this one.
Okay, now, the team that's disappointed us along with Real Sociedad is Getafe at minus 125, the draw, plus 250. And Ewan from La Liga Lowdowns, Eibar at plus 420, Roman.
Yeah, I mean, Getafe haven't been at their best since they've come back from this break, and we expected much more of them. Defensively, they don't seem as solid as the back as they used to be before that break I mentioned. But there's a good positive for this game. Gene, which is their best defender by far, I'd say, is back for this game. So he's a very important player to have. And I feel Getafe will get back on track on this one. Eibar did really well against Atletico Bilbao, but I think Getafe won't let another point slip. They want those Champions League positions, and losing again or drawing isn't good enough for them.
Okay, I'm not seeing both teams scoring here, Martin.
No, I wouldn't be going for both teams to score bet on this one just because of the way that Getafe play. They're quite controlled in the way they approach games. I also fancy them to get back on track in this game. It's a game they really should be winning. I know both teams have got a lot to play for. Even though they've disappointed since they've come back, they're still only a couple of points off the top four. You know, they've actually established themselves as a genuine top four contender over the last 2 seasons, which is great to see, really, for the state of Spanish football, that there's a club like that can come and achieve that. And yeah, this does represent a really good opportunity for them to get back to winning ways. I think Eibar would have expended a lot of energy in that game against Atletico Bilbao last time out, and heading to Getafe, just not sure they can raise their game again. So yeah, I'm going for the home win in this one at 1.83.
Okay, I quite like Getafe win to 0, and also both teams to score no and unders. That brings in 1-0, 2-0. But I think Getafe win to 0 is probably the best way to get the value out of the game. Now, Atletico Madrid bounced back massive, 5-0. Like them. I liked them against Bilbao as well, but they disappointed even though they could have won the game late on. Minus 270, Atletico draw, plus 375, and Valladolid at plus 1,000. Can you trust Madrid to just keep going from their 5-0 victory midweek, Roman?
I think you can, and I think it's about time they start getting on track because we've seen how Atletico have struggled this season, but we know that they're a very experienced team. They have a lot of quality, and they don't want to miss out on that Champions League spot no matter what. So they're going to do whatever it takes, and I just think it's now. They have to click, and Joao Felix is back. He got 2 goals. He's motivated, and the team, I think, is going to try and build up from this win against against Osasuna, and Valladolid, has to be said, they've impressed me a lot. I thought they would drop more points in these first games, but I don't think it's going to continue against Atletico, and I just see Atletico the clear favourites here.
Okay, Martin, Atletico Madrid, is it minus 1.5? Is it Atletico and under 4.5?
I'm actually going to go for Atletico Madrid and over 1.5. A little bit risky because they do love to grind out 1-0 victories at home. But I do feel that maybe Vigo simply read them the riot act in that after that draw with Athletic Bilbao. They really came flying out of the blocks in that last game. Joao Felix was on fire, and I think he could be the game changer in this one. They do actually have a lot of attacking firepower, Atletico Madrid. He can, if he decides to, he can play a reasonably attacking starting lineup. Whereas they have the ability to grind out these narrow wins. If they take a foot off the brake a bit, they can blow teams away. And against a team like Valladolid, I don't really think there's any need to sit back and soak up pressure for 90 minutes. They can afford to take more risks to come forward. And yeah, I can see them winning this sort of 2-3-0, something like that. So yeah, Atletico Madrid over 1.5 goals for me at odds of 1.85.
1.85, yeah, I like the win to 0 as well, to be honest, and I like the minus 1.5. I think they win by 2 clear goals. I think this is a little bit like we had with Barcelona winning by 2 clear goals midweek last week. So yeah, Atletico Madrid for me, win to 0, and you've gone over 1.5. So obviously, yeah, I think we're both on the same page. Now, Celta Vigo plus 100, draw plus 232, and Alaves at plus 350. Now, Alaves, unbelievable midweek. And yet Celta Vigo, they're just not at it at the moment, Roman.
Exactly. I mean, Celta de Vigo have a good squad, you know. You just expect so much more from that team. Denis Suarez, Rafinha, Iago Aspas. I mean, that's a lot of quality. So I'm surprised Celta de Vigo are still struggling so much. But with a new manager, they still haven't found a way to getting out of those bottom positions. They're still in a very, very delicate spot. And I don't know if they're going to manage to get out. They're going to go into some sort of negative spiral and start thinking about relegation too much. But at the same time, they've just brought in Nolito, their new signing, coming from Sevilla. We know that the best version of Nolito already came at Celta Vigo years back before signing for Manchester City. But of course, it was different age, different time. But he's still going to be a very interesting move. I think he can provide something to the team. But I'm really worried about Celta Vigo at the moment. And Alavés, on the other hand, surprising game with Lucas Perez and Joselu on after not being in that first game, you could tell they're such a much better side. And Real Sociedad really didn't have any answers. In the last game, they didn't have any answers for the win of Alavés. And also Pacheco is going to be back. So I don't know if they're going to continue with Roberto with the sub goalkeeper. He played really well against Espanyol, even though they lost 10 men. So sometimes it's hard to stop all the goals. And then he had a clean sheet against Real Sociedad. So I really think Roberto might not stay, though, because Pacheco is certainly one of the best goalkeepers there are. But it's going to be an interesting game. But Alaves right now seem much better. They have the momentum. They're playing really good football. And Celta are going to have a tough time to get it a win.
Martin, I expect Alaves maybe a double chance, or I just think they're overpriced, because now we have to have a little look at Sociedad, because Sociedad were one of the best sides at home prior to the pandemic break. Now, all of a sudden, Sociedad have not even started. So can we give too much credit to Alaves? Or do we say, no, we're going to go because Celta Vigo look like they're playing with fear?
I think you have to give Alaves a lot of credit, yeah. Home advantage does seem to have been wiped out since we've come back from this pandemic. A lot of big away teams winning in Germany. I think we're going to see the same in the Premier League over the weekend, and we've already seen it in Spain. I think that does look like a pretty big price on Alaves. This game just screams past to me. I can't be betting on either of these teams, to be honest. I would have expected so much more from Celta Vigo in the two games since they've come back. I just don't understand where their lack of motivation is. They should be fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table. This is where they normally have a great escape. They get lots of wins towards the end of the season, get Iago Aspas on the ball, and they just start soaring up the table. Just hasn't happened for them. Whereas Alaves have no motivation whatsoever, languishing in mid-table, yet the pressure's off, so they seem to be picking up all sorts of good results. For all those different variables, I just think this one, you should just leave this well alone.
Yeah, leave it alone then. I mean, sometimes it's the best thing is to pass, because otherwise you're just forcing the issue. Now, here's my banker. I'm going with Valencia, -110, the draw, +275, and Osasuna at +350. Cannot believe that Valencia are -110, Roman. I only see a home win.
Well, yeah, technically Valencia are the favourite side for this game, clearly, and they also need the win after dropping points recently against Levante and Real Madrid. So it's a very desperate win they want right now, but they are going to have also players which aren't available for this game. Coquelin got injured against Madrid. Gaia is going to be suspended. Maxi Gomez had this physical discomfort and was sub, so we're not sure if he's going to be back. And we've all seen all those problems Valencia have had in defense at the moment. Paulista, he might be back hopefully for Valencia and might be playing with Guillamon, who's been fantastic, the young talent. It's been doing so good. Or with Mangala, we'll see. But at the same time, we don't know what version of Osasuna we're going to get. If it's going to be like the first game against Real Sociedad, where they were so solid and played so well, or the version against Atleti. To be fair, those 3 goals at the end, so 2-3 goals at the end, did change a lot of the scoreline and what it should have been. A bit harsh maybe for them, but still. Clearly, Valencia should be the favourites, but let's not forget Osasuna beat them 3-1 in the first game. You never know with Osasuna, but Valencia are clear favourites here.
Yeah, I thought Valencia, that they gave a good account of themselves for a good hour, Martin. I think that Valencia, they will exploit this Osasuna side.
I do too. Yeah, as an Arsenal fan, I would hope for Valencia's sake that Coquelin and Gabriel Paulista don't play. I've seen several horrendous performances from that duo over the years. But yeah, I do think they're a big team, aren't they, Valencia? They've got squad depth as well. They have got good players that can come in any of these positions. And I think a team like that, they really should start picking up points as the season runs in. They're still hovering around that top 4. They need to get back to winning ways if they're to put pressure on Atletico and Sevilla. I really fancy them to get the job done in this one. Osasuna will probably be low on confidence after losing 5-0 last time out. And Joao Felix really ran them ragged, so I think fatigue could be a bit of an issue. If Valencia can change it up and bring in a few fresh pairs of legs, I really do think they'll get the job done. Once again, this is another one where the odds are going in our favour. You can get +102 on Valencia now. In the last hour, the odds have continued to go out. So, yeah, I think that looks like a great price. I'm going for that too.
Yeah, let's not complicate it. Let's get on Valencia. Let's get on the old bats. Okay, now, this is what football's all about. Real Sociedad not lifted a leg, not performed to anything, and now +300, draw +305. Madrid minus 110. If Sociedad turn up, it is absolutely criminal and goes against everything that football's all about. But Real Sociedad, prior to the pandemic, tough game for Madrid. Madrid now at minus 110, Roman. It's a gift horse. Let's not look it in the mouth.
I mean, we've all seen how Real Madrid has performed and how Real Sociedad have performed. So right now, things are really different for Real Sociedad. Before the pandemic, they looked so much better. They even got that amazing Copa del Rey win against the Real Madrid at the Bernabeu with that 4-3 victory. They looked so sharp, but then suddenly we don't know what's happened because it's a really young team. So you'd expect them to, have a lot of energy at reach this stage of the season, especially after a break. But it's not the case, and there might be a few changes in that starting lineup. I see maybe Isaac coming in for William Jose, who hasn't really proved being worth being a starter at the moment with those first two starts. And on the other hand, I mean, Real Madrid, we saw how they play against Valencia. They just attack so much. Benzema is still on fire. He was on fire before. He's still on fire now. This season, he's having probably one of his best seasons at Real Madrid. And also now they go back Asensio, who just scored a goal after his first touch. He also got an assist in that game. So, I mean, that depth in that squad is just impressive. No team in La Liga has those players. So Real Madrid are clear favorites for this one, no doubt.
No doubt. I mean, I've got Real Madrid. Yes, don't complicate it, minus 110, Martin. But Real Madrid and over 1.5 as well. Just keep finding that value.
Yeah, what a performance that was from Real Madrid last night. What a goal from Benzema, that second goal. The deft touch from Marco Asensio, just flicked it over, banged it in. It was a joy to behold. I think Eden Hazard will be happy that he's registered an assist. He's starting to find his feet. I just go back to the same point. I sound like a broken record, but the squad depth that Real Madrid have got, they can make changes across their forward line. They didn't even need to bring on Gareth Bale and James Rodriguez in that game, who I believe both of them are world-class players, actually. And they've still got Vinicius Junior. They've still got Rodrigo on the bench. They can make all sorts of changes to this starting lineup if they want to. They've got a lot of experience in midfield. I think they'll control the game. That, for me, is Real Sociedad's best strength, their midfield. And I think Real Madrid will cancel them out because they're even better. So, yeah, it looks like a terrific set of odds to me on the away win for Real Madrid, particularly when you consider that away teams are doing so well at the moment. Minus 110, yeah, you can probably even get better value if you wait a little bit because the bookies are feeling generous when it comes to La Liga this weekend.
They're trying to entice. Do you fancy Real Madrid and over 1.5? I mean, when did Real Madrid ever win 1-0?
Very, very rarely. Very, very rarely. And I think in the second half, they can come on really strong against perhaps some weary legs among that Real Sociedad team. If they decided to throw on Gareth Bale, Vinicius Junior in the second half, Marco Asensio, these are players with the quality to expose any weaknesses at the back. So yeah, I think they could get a few. I mean, if they can beat Valencia 3-0, why can't they beat Real Sociedad 3-0?
Okay, let's go back to Roman. I didn't throw Paco under the bus. Ewan did really well when I threw it on him, Roman. Roman, can you give me a couple that you really fancy?
Well, this game we just talked about right now, I think that's one of the ones I fancy the most. I think Real Madrid are clearly the favorite side. And then possibly, despite my doubts with Barca, I do think they're going to get the job done. I think they also should get past Sevilla. I mean, it's two teams fighting for the league, and there's no margin of error, and they both need the points so badly that in this case, those need to win. And then I have a feeling Betis are just not on track. So Athletic look way better for me at the moment.
Okay, we're going to go there as well. There's some great value, Martin. I'm just trying to work out here and thinking, I'm going to do them three in a parlay. Well, hang on a minute. I might do a fourth one. Martin, give me yours. If there's a parlay, but definitely give me the banker.
Yeah, it's amazing value on these top teams. It's like the Premier League last season when Man City and Liverpool were just winning. They were putting pressure on one another. And, Barcelona and Real Madrid are going to keep having to respond to one another. I can't believe some of the value that you can get. 2.27 on a Barcelona win away at Sevilla. Both teams to score in that Atletico Bilbao versus Real Betis game, 1.92. I'm going for Getafe at 1.83 to beat Eibar. I'm going for Atletico Madrid and over 1.5 goals against Valladolid at 1.85, passing that Celta Vigo game against Alaves. Valencia, even money, or even going out to about plus 102 now to beat Osasuna. And just a straight win for Real Madrid to beat Real Sociedad at minus 110, which is 1.91 in decimal odds. Looks great. Banker, now that I've bigged them up, I'll have to go for Real Madrid. But yeah, I think we'll see what happens with Barcelona tonight. That looks like a good game. But for a parlay, up at Valencia in with Real Madrid and Atletico. What a great three-team parlay.
Yeah, listen, there's some great games, great value. I'm just going to go with Sevilla and Barcelona, both teams to score, but Barcelona to win at plus 300, which is 3-1. Espanyol's just a lean at plus 100. I like Bilbao to win at home at plus 114. Getafe and Eibar, Getafe wins to 0 for me. Atletico, minus 1.5 and over 1.5, I think they go there. Celta Vigo, Alaves, I'm going to leave. Valencia, I really like around plus 100. And Madrid to win and over 1.5, but I also won't complicate it. And I tell you what, Valencia, Madrid and Bilbao to win. I think that's my treble. And maybe throw in Atletico Madrid and over 1.5. There's just so much value, I'm getting completely confused. Roman, I hope you've enjoyed it. Enjoy Barcelona tonight. Good luck to your team.
Thank you.
Martin, I just fancy you're on an absolute roll, mate, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, Flash. Can't wait.
Cheers, Roman. Cheers, Martin. So that's La Liga. Great value, great matches. Enjoy. Until next time, you take care.